All right. Shalom Israel. Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Wariala. This is my channel, Rise Up Israel. First and foremost, I would like to give all honor and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. That is who the world will call God. And I do so in the name of his only begotten Son, who the world will call Jesus Christ, but whose real name is Yahweh Shai in ancient Paleo-Hebrew. As you can tell by the title of the presentation, this will be a presentation on Thanksgiving, right? Eat, drink, and be thankful, right? We're just gonna go over the truth about Thanksgiving, what it's really about, what it has to do with, and why should not only Hispanic and Native Indigenous people to this country, but also so-called African Americans and the Israelites scattered abroad should not celebrate this holiday, right? But as you can see, let's keep going. Thanksgiving, right? Pagan days, Thanksgiving. Now, Thanksgiving is a national holiday celebrated on various dates in October and November in the United States, Canada, Grenada, St. Lucia, Liberia, and unofficially in countries like Brazos, Germany, and the Philippines. It is also observed in Dutch town of Leiden and the Australian territory of Norfolk Island. It begins as a day of giving thanks for the blessings of the harvest and of the preceding year. The various similarities named the Harvest Festival holidays occurs throughout the world during autumn. Although Thanksgiving has historical roots in religious and cultural traditions, it has long been celebrated as a secular holiday as well. Let's keep pushing. All right, Thanksgiving Proclamation, 1863. A spotlight on a primary source by Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Nast. In 1621, settlers in Massachusetts celebrated what was come to be regarded as the first Thanksgiving in the New World, right? On October 3rd, 1789, George Washington issued a proclamation creating the first Thanksgiving Day designated by the national government of the United States of America to be celebrated on Thursday, November 26, 1789. John Adams and James Madison similarly declared Thanksgiving as a holiday. However, it wasn't until October 3rd, in 1863, at the height of the Civil War, that President Abraham Lincoln issued a Thanksgiving Day proclamation encouraging Americans in every part of the United States, and also those who are at sea and those who are sojourning in foreign lands, to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November, next as a day of thanksgiving and prayer to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens. So, Thanksgiving was a proclamation for your modern American white man. Couldn't be so-called African American since they were in slavery, and it can't be the Native Indigenous people because they were being raped, robbed, and murdered of everything they had as well. So this is a Thanksgiving from your traditional American white man that may be in the States or abroad for any other reasons, to celebrate and to give thanks to the Heavenly Father for this land, right? Let's keep reading. Thanksgiving has been celebrated in the United States ever since. Let's look at some statistics, right? The death toll of Native Americans following the arrival of the Europeans is staggering and constitutes one of the largest demographic collapses in human history. Estimates, they may vary, but most historians agree that 80 to 90% of the indigenous population of the Americas perished within the century of European contact. Here's a breakdown. So as we move forward, I just want you to understand one thing. The death toll in America has jumped. Around this time, the death toll in America has skyrocketed since the arrival of the Europeans to the Americas, right? So let's keep this stuff in consideration as we read, as we understand what Thanksgiving is about. We understand that it was a holiday that's supposed to, give thanks to the Heavenly Father, but we're going to start speaking on, and start looking at what it actually has to do with, right? So since the arrival of the so-called, white man, or the Europeans, or who we know as Esau, 80 to 90% of the indigenous people of the land died just by contact, right? Just by contact alone, right? Matter of fact, let's grab the scripture on this, right? Let's grab this alone, because many of us, if you're aware of the pale horse, Salakia, this is gonna, then you understand that where we're at in biblical prophecy, right? But not only that, but you understand that what purpose your average white American has to do with and what they've done in America, right? So let's just go real quick. Let's go Revelation chapter 6 and verse another beat. Okay, here we go. Verse 7, and it says, "And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, 'Come and see.' And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death," right? So the name of this pale horse, right, that's in this place, that's in this place, right? His name was, or the one that sat on him was Death, right? So a pale horse, an individual sitting on the pale horse whose name is Death, right? We understand what a horse does. To be exalted on a horse means to be put in a position of power, because horses are representations of might and of warfare and all manner of war, right? And I'll just grab this for you real quick in Job chapter 39. The book of Job chapter 39 and verse 19. And it says this: "Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils are terrible." So you have to understand, horsepower, the might of horses was like having a tank with you. It was like having a mighty chariot. That's why only the king and high ranking generals will be on a horse. The rest will be footmen. You see what I'm saying? Look at what it says about the horse. "He paweth in the valley, he rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear." This is talking about the horse. "And is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swalloweth the ground with fierceness and rage. Neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He saith among the trumpets, Ha ha, and he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting." So understand the spirit that's put on a horse, or the type of spirit that's associated, at least, with the horse, right? Understand that now. And now when you look at biblical prophecy, understand the pale horse and the one that sits on him, whose name is Death. So you have a war-like animal that's known for war, known for killing, known for being a part of all types of manner of murder and killing and pillaging and things of that nature. And the one that's riding him is Death. So we know that a horse is associated with war, and death, obviously, it needs no other explanation. What does that tell you about this, about the spirit of this beast that we're reading about? That this is greatly associated with a lot of death, right? Now, when it goes into the one that sits on this horse, whose name is Death, it's not just this. It's not just the person name is literally Death. It's a similitude. It means something, right? And I can grab this real quick in Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. And it says this. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. "Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. He's a man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people." So it tells you that this man couldn't keep at home. So the description of this death that is on this horse in Revelation 6 and verse 7 and 8. It's a man that would be on a horse who is as death, meaning his name may not actually be death, but because of his works and the things that he does, he would be greatly associated with death. I always use the association or the word that like the metaphor or however people put it as of Johnny Football. People understand that Johnny Football is someone that is so good at football that their name is football. This person is so much associated to death that he is as death. Hence why his name is called death. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at these things, keep in mind that there's a spirit behind this beast that we're looking at. All right. So let's keep going. Matter of fact, I can grab a few more. And it says he enlargeth his desire as hell. Does it literally mean, how does that even make sense? Because when you look at the word hell, it's associated with the word Sheol, which means grave, right? But let's grab this real quick in Psalms chapter 86 and verse 13. And it says this: for great is thy mercy toward me, and thou hast delivered my soul from the lowest hell. Now, is he literally being delivered from hell, where the so-called where people say that spiritual demon Satan is? No, it's from the grave. The Most High God delivered our forefathers in David from the grave, not from a hell or hell under the ground. That's not what it's referring to, right? Another example in Lamentations chapter 2 and verse 1, and it says this. Actually, no, Salakia. We can go to Jonah. Jonah chapter 2 and verse 2, and it says this. And said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou hearkenest unto my voice. Now, was Jonah in the belly of hell, or was he in the belly of a whale? So we understand it can't be associated to some spiritual place that you're in. It represents being afflicted. It represents being judged and really being dead. You see what I'm saying? So like I said, in other videos, you see the breakdown on what hell is and what it's associated with. But hell represents the grave. The word for hell in the Hebrew is Sheol, which means grave. Right? So let's keep going. Pale horse, and his name that sat on him was death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So it said that power was given unto this man named Death, that sat on the pale horse, and the grave followed with him. Power was given over this spirit, or this entity of death, over the fourth part of the earth. Again, there's other videos I have that shows you what the fourth part of the earth is. There's books that speak about it, the Waldseemüller map, books that talks about the Waldseemüller map, and it tells you how the fourth part of earth is greatly associated with America, because the earth used to be set up in three parts: Europe, Asia, and Africa, until they found a fourth part, and that map was created by Amerigo Vespucci. That's why the term America is used, associated with America. But it has to do with the fourth part of the earth, right? So let's keep going. All right, Salakia. So estimated pre-contact population. Before European arrival, estimates of the indigenous population of the Americas range widely. North America, about 18 million. Central America, about 20 to 30 million. And South America, about 20 to 50 million. In total, this is just an estimate, estimation. Total for the Americas, 50 to 100 million people. These numbers vary depending on sources and methods, but many scholars now lean toward higher estimations. So many people say it was over 100 million, right? A lot of scholars say it's between 100 million to 200 million, right? Post-contact decline. Now, this is what happens after they run into the pale horse, right? By the late 16th century, the Native American population had dropped by tens of millions, with an estimation with the estimated death toll of 50 to 90 million people due to multiple factors, including disease, the primary cause of death, smallpox, measles, influenza, and typhus, brought by Europeans, devastated populations with no prior exposure or immunity, violence, conquest, massacres, wars, significantly contributed to the death toll, right? Particularly in regions like Mesoamerica, where the Aztec and Inca empires fell to Spanish conquistadors. Enslavement and forced labor. Systems like the encomienda in Spanish colonies and slavery in the Americas caused further deaths through brutal working conditions and abuse, starvation and displacement. Colonization led to the loss of traditional lands and food sources, contributing to famine and malnutrition. So we understand when we look at how on the fourth part of earth, power was given unto him over the fourth part of earth to kill with the sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth. Now we understand that all these ways in which the northern kingdom was killed off was directly prophesied by the Most High God, that this would be done by the pale horse, chiefly who we know as the devil, aka the so-called white man, aka Esau, right? But let's grab this real quick in Genesis chapter 49, right? Here we go. You know, grab this real quick. So like I got this like this so it could fit, so it's about to scroll through real quick. Here we go. This is Genesis chapter 49 and verse 19. It says this: Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. So Gad, which would be one of obviously one of the northern kingdom tribes, will be overcome by a troop. Now, who has been overcome by a troop more than any of the nations that we understand as the Israelites today? Your so-called Native American Indians, specifically in northern, in the northern part of North America. Well, all throughout America, the North America, but chiefly certain tribes have been absolutely devastated and destroyed since the arrival of Europeans. Let's keep going though. And it says this: in 1637, near present-day Groton, Connecticut, over 700 men, women, and children of the Pequot tribe had gathered for their annual Green Corn Festival, which is our Thanksgiving celebration, right? In the pre-dawn hours, the sleeping Indians were surrounded by English and Dutch mercenaries who ordered them to come outside. Those who came out were shot or clubbed to death, while the terrified women and children who huddled inside the longhouse were burned alive. The next day, the governor of Massachusetts Bay Colony declared a day of Thanksgiving because 700 unarmed men, women, and children had been murdered. So understand that this is the foundation of this holiday, of how we understand it is how we understand it today. Innocent people being murdered, being killed, children, women. No, they didn't even care. Do I gotta grab the curses? Let's grab the curses real quick. Right? Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. 49. Salakia. And it says this: the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Meaning, when our forefathers, when our forefathers or our people were chilling over here in the Americas, and especially where a lot of us were over from Africa, that were brought over from Africa, a lot of us didn't understand English language. None of us knew the English language were. When we were on the western coast of Africa and were brought to the Americas, we did not understand the English language. There's a nation that completely came from out of nowhere and speaking a foreign language. And next thing you know, we're in captivity. And it's the same way how it is in the Americas with our other forefathers of the 10 tribes. When the white man came over from all throughout Europe, we didn't understand his language. We didn't get the English. We understand the English, right? And they came as swift as an eagle, right? Let's keep reading. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor shew favor to the young, right? So this is what happened. We would be our forefathers, according to this biblical prophecy, would be in our land relaxing, and a nation which you never even heard of that spoke a completely different language is going to a fierce nation is going to come to you and oppress you, and they're not going to have any regard for the old or the young. As we just read, there was women and children, burned the whole house down, and then made a holiday out of it. And look what it says after this. Look at this. This is really talking about Thanksgiving. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or the flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. Right? This is literally this is it. This is literally it. This is literally what happened to our brothers of the 10 tribes. They were celebrating their annual festivals, the green corn harvest, and then the devil comes, oppresses them, doesn't show regard to the young or the old or the women, kills them, and then creates a holiday at Thanksgiving. Let's keep reading. Cheered by their victory, the brave colonists and their Indian allies attacked village after village. Women and children over 14 were sold into slavery, while the rest were murdered. What did it say? Women and children were sold into slavery? Let's grab this real quick. This is Deuteronomy 28:41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. So it tells you that your sons and daughters, as this scripture just told you, your kids are going to be sold into captivity, right? Let's look at this. Deuteronomy 28:30, and it says this. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. This is literally what happened to our forefathers, and this is what we're reading about right now. Let's keep reading. Women and children over 14 were sold into slavery, while the rest were murdered, right? Boats loaded with many as 500 slaves regularly left the ports of New England. Bounties were paid for Indian scalps to encourage as many deaths as possible. Following an especially successful raid against the Pequot in what is now Stamford, Connecticut, the churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving to celebrate. The churches. Did it say the churches? The churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving to celebrate victory over the heathen savages. So we're called heathen savages. Imagine that. We're called heathen savages. Let's grab this real quick in Isaiah. Maybe not Isaiah. Bear with me. Salakia. Was it in Daniel? That's what it was. Daniel chapter 7, Salakia. Here we go. Salakia, bear with me. Daniel chapter 7 and 20. Here we go. Watch this. Daniel chapter 7 and 25. And it says this, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. That is a great word against the Most High. That his people, God's chosen people, are heathen savages. I can pull out so many verses right now, but against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. So understand the prophecy that although we were prophesied to be worn out by these devils, and that they would speak great things against the Most High and change times and laws, we were going to get the last laugh. And the judgment is going to be set, and we're going to take away their dominion. Let's keep going. Following an especially stressful raid against the Pequot in what is now Stamford, Connecticut, the churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving to celebrate the victory over the heathen savages. During the feasting, the hacked off heads of natives were kicked through streets like soccer balls. Even the friendly Wampanoag did not escape the madness. Damn. Their chief was beheaded, his head impaled on a pole in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where it remained on display for 24 hours. And if you know, we may read about this if I'm not mistaken. Took me a while to finish this presentation, but the Wampanoag is what helped. Is the tribe who helped them kill their brothers and sisters, which rightfully deserved. You should never sold out your own people, but they helped the white men when they got here, right? Let's keep reading. The killings became more and more frenzied, with days of Thanksgiving feasts being held after each successful massacre. George Washington finally suggested that only one day of Thanksgiving per year be set aside instead of celebrating each and every massacre. I mean, they were killing our people and celebrating, right? But why would you expect anything less than Esau? That's what he's supposed to. That's what he's always done, right? Did he not say, raise it even into the foundations thereof? When our people were being kicked out of the land, didn't he not say that? No, he said it. He said, raise it, even into the foundations thereof. Let's grab this real quick. Psalm 137. Watch this. Psalm 137:7, it says this. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even unto the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. So everything that was done to the native indigenous people of this land, happy shall that person be that can recompense that which Esau did unto him back to Esau. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. And that's thus saith the Lord. Everything that they did to the native indigenous people of the land is gonna have to come back on them. That's just divine. That's just how things gotta work out. So just as they were killing and our people and making holidays out of it, the Israelites are gonna be able to do the exact same thing to them. That's just righteous judgment, right? The land that we're on right now is absolutely defiled and destroyed. And you gotta, as I'm gonna grab it right here, and you gotta clean it. You have to clean this land. Matter of fact, Numbers 35 and 33. Right? You gotta clean it. But how do we clean it? We're about to read it right now. Numbers 35 and 33, and it says, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed by the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So you cannot clean a land by shedding more blood in that land. You can only clean the land by shedding the blood of the person that shed it. I mean, so there's no way, like, you can't just wash up the blood that you shed. No, you gotta give eye for an eye. You gotta cleanse it with the blood of him that shed it. That is divine. That's real judgment. That's divine judgment. But let's keep reading. This story doesn't have quite the same fuzzy feelings associated with it as the one where the Indians and the Pilgrims are sitting down together at the big feast. But we need to learn our true history so it won't ever be repeated. And how does something like that never be repeated? By never trusting the so-called white man. Like that, the reason why we should know these things is so we never trust these people again. Seriously, we should. That is a prime example of why we should not trust our enemy, right? What does Scripture say? Never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so does his wickedness. So just as iron is known 100% to rust, no matter what, iron's gonna rust. That's just what iron is known to do. Iron is known to rust, right? So is the wickedness of the devil. Their wickedness is going to show. It's going to show. It's just what it's supposed to do, right? Though he humbleth himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and be aware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that the rust hath not been altogether wiped away. So look at how he thinks. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Did he not stand in the place of Native Americans? Are they not called the true Americans right now? He took our place. He took our place, and now because we trusted him, he took our place. He took the 10 tribes of Israel's place, right? Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. And that's sad. That's unfortunate, because that's the position that our brothers from the 10 tribes are in, right? Let's keep reading. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh unto wild beasts? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with his sins, who will pity? For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Right? If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands, and whisper much, and change his countenance. And that's exactly what happened. Once he got the upper hand, he was, our brothers and sisters became a laughing stock and a reproach. Right? So let's keep going. All right, but we need to learn our true history so it won't ever be repeated. Next, Thanksgiving. When you gather with your loved ones to thank God for all your blessings, think about those who only wanted to live their lives and raise their families. They also took time out to say thank you to the Creator for all their blessings. And so what we're not going to do is we're not going to celebrate this damn holiday. There's no, why would we? What you mean next holiday, what? Take a time to think about this should be a time of mourning and being sad. Why would you want to celebrate? Why would you want to feast during the day that commemorates the genocide of your people? Makes no sense. Let's keep going. Epidemics, right? That's a part of the other things that would come upon us, right? Epidemics and the first Thanksgiving. When European settlers arrived in the Americas, they brought with them diseases like smallpox, influenza, and measles, to which indigenous peoples had no immunity. These diseases caused catastrophic epidemics, killing and estimating 90% of the indigenous population in some areas over time, drastically reducing their numbers even before direct contact with settlers in many cases. Sheesh. The Wampanoag people, who are central to the Thanksgiving story, right? This is the one. These are the ones that try to help Esau, right? Had been severely affected by these diseases. A major smallpox epidemic from 1616 to 1619 decimated their population, weakening their communities, right? Just by touching them. Godly. Talk about his name is death. Just by touching one of them, you automatically get sick and defiled and die. Let's keep reading. Wider implications of disease spread. The spread of smallpox, influenza, and measles facilitated the European colonization of the Americas, as the massive depopulation of indigenous people made it easier for settlers to claim land and expand their territories. These diseases were not always spread unintentionally. In some cases, such as during later conflicts in the 18th century, disease was used as a weapon, as in the case of smallpox-infected blankets being distributed to indigenous communities. So we see these things happening, and man, this is history, man. This is history of the destruction of the children of Israel, right? But like I was saying, man, we see these things happening, and we're just like, do we consider where these things would have come from? Because although I think is what happened to our brothers was absolutely disgusting and wicked, you can't help but notice. But I'm pulling this out from biblical prophecy, right? Matter of fact, everything I'm reading Deuteronomy 28, this is what will befall the northern kingdom and southern kingdom if they did not keep God's commandments, right? This is Deuteronomy 28 and 15. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." So all these curses will be upon you. So when we see people dying in the millions, in the tens of millions, by a sick disease, you can't help but think, what in the world? Who in the world could do something? Why is this happening? Right? Look at this. Let's grab this. Watch this. Verse 58. If thou wilt, Deuteronomy 28:58, if thou wilt not observe to do all the words of the laws that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear in this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh thy power, Yahweh thy Elohim, right, the Lord thy God, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, even of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. Meaning these diseases that have come upon you are going to be absolutely catastrophic. And it's because our brothers of the Northern Kingdom were not keeping God's commandments. It's because they weren't that this happened. So when you see these long continuing diseases that killed you in the forget what happened with King David when King David went up and sinned against Israel, where only about 70,000 died. We're talking about 70 million plus. Let's keep reading. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and thou shalt cleave unto thee, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. And look at what this would do. Look at what this would do to you. Talk about plagues and epidemics. Look what this would do to you. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for a multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. Meaning you would be absolutely, these diseases and these plagues would absolutely diminish you to where you would be few in number. You can't even, you hardly even see any Native American. You hardly even see any Northern Kingdom. I'm talking, and now, I mean, they're trying to kick a lot of brothers over, back over to over the border, right? So the Most High God, he did these things to us, right? Let's keep reading. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it, right? So just like it's just insane that you don't even see any Native American people anymore. You barely, and even if you see them, you don't even notice them because their ceiling has been polluted. And if you can look into that, how a lot of Native Americans were, for lack of a better term, damn whitewashed. You see what I'm saying? And sent over to reservations. So you probably wouldn't even notice one if you saw him. His name is probably something like Greg Charles or something. Lost his name. Wouldn't even look like what his forefathers might look like back then. So let's keep reading. Where am I at? Okay, these diseases were not spread unintentionally. Okay, let's keep going. Intentional spread of smallpox. Spread of smallpox among Plains tribes. 19th century. 19th century. All right, cool. In the 1830s, during the forced relocation of Native Americans in events like the Trail of Tears, smallpox outbreaks devastated tribes such as the Cherokee. Some historians argue that U.S. government officials knowingly failed to provide adequate medical care, vaccines, or quarantine measures, effectively enabling the spread of the disease. While not as directed as Fort Pitt incident, this neglect may reflect calculated indifference toward indigenous suffering. Now, let's look at the Fort Pitt incident, right? This is a documented case. Fort Pitt, 1763. During the Pontiac's War in 1763, an indigenous uprising against British colonial rule, there is evidence that British forces considered and used biological warfare against indigenous populations. At Fort Pitt, in present-day Pennsylvania, a British officer named Captain Simeon Ecuyer reportedly distributed blankets and handkerchiefs from a smallpox hospital to the Delaware and Shawnee tribes as a deliberate attempt to spread the disease. So he did, this was a deliberate attempt. He intentionally did this to spread the disease. This incident is documented in correspondence between British officer General Geoffrey Amherst, for whom the city of Amherst is named, encouraged the use of smallpox as a weapon in letters to his subordinates. And this was in PA, so a lot of you brothers that are in PA, man, you be seeing these people with these crazy diseases that be strung out on dope, or that have some form of autism and developmental disorder, anything schizophrenia. That may be judgment for them doing this to your brothers and sisters, right? Let's keep reading. Example of Amherst letters. You will do well to try to inoculate the Indians by means of blankets, as well as to try every other method that can serve to extirpate this execrable race. So pretty much, you're gonna try your best to you're gonna give these blankets to them, and this is going to absolutely make these people go extinct, pretty much, right? Next, smallpox. Now let's look at how terrible smallpox was, right? Europeans brought many old world diseases like smallpox, influenza, and measles to the New World. Many of these settlers had survived outbreaks in their homelands and developed immunities. However, the Native American Indians had no previous exposure, and diseases decimated their populations. So because they didn't have any exposure to this, they were taken in the numbers, as we've read, right? With their numbers weakened, Native Americans were unable to stop European immigrants from settling on their lands. Wars also decimated Native populations, with Native American and European troops marching over colonial America. Diseases traveled swiftly from colony to colony and country to country. In her book, Pax Americana, Elizabeth Fenn describes minutely the 32-day timeline of the variola virus. She calls it a parasitic virus that consumes its host. Introduced by either touch or inhalation, variola usually incubates in its new victim for 10 to 12 days before the first symptoms present themselves. At first, the victim may feel as if they have the flu, with symptoms such as backache, headache, fever, and nausea. At this point, the victim can contaminate others, yet not even know they are seriously infected. On about the 15th day, a rash and eruptions appear on the skin. They eventually burst the scab over. Sometimes victims develop internal sores that will cause them to bleed to death from various open body openings, such as the eyes and ears. The entire process is full of immense pain and suffering. By day 30, if the victim is still alive, he or she is no longer contagious, though often scarred for life, mentally and physically. The very young and very old were the largest groups of victims. In one study that Fenn recorded, there was 29% mortality rate for children under 1 year of age, 8% for children from 5 to 14 years, and 32% for adults over 45 years. The mortality rate was highest for pregnant women, 96%. If you're a pregnant woman and you had this, you were going to die. Surprisingly enough, variola could survive for long periods outside the human body. A blanket used on a victim, unwashed and stored away for years, can still contaminate an active virus. With statistics such as these, it is evident why smallpox was so feared in North American colonies. Let's keep pushing. Influenza, right? Matter of fact, let me check. Okay. Influenza. Respiratory diseases, influenza, pneumonia, and pleurisy, and colds. Duffy classes of respiratory disorders among the major cases of morbidity and mortality in colonial America. This seems surprising when one reads about the devastation that smallpox, yellow fever, and diphtheria left in their wakes. However, as pointed out earlier, in a time when diets were unhealthy, living conditions unsanitary and overcrowded, and frequent exposure to the elements weakened many colonists. Winter diseases like the flu and a cold often proved fatal, while influenza itself caused comparatively few deaths in colonial America. Complications sometimes arose and led to secondary infections such as pneumonia. Pneumonia were people with low resistance, the aged or very young were especially susceptible to pneumonia, caused by different pathogens including bacteria or viruses. Victims often developed a chill, pain in the chest, fever, headache, cough, rapid pulse, and breathing. Death was not as common with pneumonia as with other diseases, but no exact statistics were kept. Let's keep going. Measles. Measles caused by a highly communicable virus. Measles, rubella, was much more severe and deadly than other whooping colds, cough, or mumps. Measles was often ignored because of the severity of other diseases like smallpox and yellow fever. Considered a childhood disease because most of its victims were infants and young children, Duffy tells us, measles was one of the leading causes of infant mortality. The disease did give survivors permanent immunity, like smallpox. A person would only have the disease once. Measles was often mistaken for either smallpox or scarlet fever due to similar symptoms. Fever, reddish rash, upper respiratory infection. Measles also ran its course in 21 to 30 days, similar to smallpox. And like smallpox, regular epidemics of measles swept the colonies. Though limited records were kept on measles epidemics in the 17th century. Let's keep reading. Many people died from a weakened condition and the complications arising from measles, such as bronchial pneumonia and encephalitis. Right? The expanded Columbian electronic encyclopedia also showed the following complications could arise. The measles virus has also been associated with subacute sclerosing, panencephalitis, SSPE, which causes chronic brain disease in children and adolescents. After the attack of measles, it can cause intellectual deterioration. Man, that's bad. Talking about meaning you become intellectually deteriorated, meaning you become, for lack of a better term, underdeveloped. You might have been a highly developed individual, but due to this brain issue or this brain disease, you deteriorate intellectually. Let's keep reading. Convulsive seizures and motor abnormalities and is usually fatal. Pregnant women were also at risk to measles because the virus can pass through the placenta and infect the unborn child. Damn. Thanksgiving is also idolatry. So after we've read everything that we went over, now we're going to get into a few quick slides going into, Thanksgiving being idolatry to follow, right? Actually, yeah, let's keep going. Thanksgiving is the same as cornucopia, same symbol as Thanksgiving, right? The horn of plenty. This is the horn of plenty right here. It is greatly associated to Thanksgiving because it matches all of the elements that Thanksgiving would represent. Just everything about it you're going to read. In classical antiquity, the cornucopia, which comes from the Latin word cornu or horn, and copia abundance, so the horn of abundance or the horn of plenty, also called the horn of plenty, was a symbol of abundance and nourishment, commonly a large horn-shaped container overflowing with produce, flowers, or nuts. Baskets or panniers for this form were traditionally used in Western Asia and Europe to hold and carry new harvested food products. The horn-shaped basket would be worn on the back or slung around the torso, leaving the harvester's hand free for picking. Okay? This is how it's known in Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a holiday celebrated in various countries, notably the United States and Canada, to give thanks for blessings, harvest, and communal gratitude. It often involves feasting, family gatherings, and reflecting on what one is thankful for. In the U.S., Thanksgiving is celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November. In Canada, it occurs on the second Monday of October. Cornucopia. The cornucopia, also known as the horn of plenty, just as Thanksgiving is a symbol of abundance and nourishment. It is often depicted as a horn-shaped basket overflowing with fruits, as you see right here, vegetables, and other harvested items. The cornucopia originates from classical mythology and has become a symbol associated with the harvest and Thanksgiving themes in the U.S. So understand that when you celebrate these holidays, you're celebrating Greek mythology, and we're going to get into that, right? But this is the connection of those two. The cornucopia is often used as a decorative item or motif during Thanksgiving to represent the abundance and prosperity celebrated during the holiday. While the cornucopia is a symbol, Thanksgiving is the actual holiday with its own traditions and practices, right? But the principle of both are the same. Let's keep reading. Greek and Roman mythology. When Rhea gave birth to Zeus, she put him in a cave located at Mount Ida in the island of Crete, right? This is in Greece. This is near Greece, or this would be a part of the Greek Empire, right? In this way, his father Cronus would be unable to find him and swallow him, which he had done with his previous children. There, it was the great goat Amalthea, or Amalthea, that nourished Zeus with her milk until he was grown up. One day, as young Zeus played with Amalthea, he accidentally broke off her horn. To make up for it, and as a sign of gratitude, Zeus blessed the broken horn, so that its owner would find everything they desired in it. It became known as the Horn of Amalthea, or the cornucopia, an eternal symbol for abundance. When Amalthea died, Zeus used her hide to create this thunder shield, the Aegis. So it comes from an animal, a goat that that got their horn taken off when he was playing with her. Right? Here's another one. This is in Roman culture or mythology. Another myth connects the cornucopia to the river god Achelos, and the hero Hercules. The two fought over the hand of the river nymph Deianira, and during the battle, Hercules tore off one of Ankylos' horns. The horn was later transformed into the cornucopia, symbolizing abundance. Right? So, here are the connections. Right? Slack it, bear with me. Connections to fertility and prosperity. The cornucopia became a symbol of fertility, harvest, and prosperity in Greek and Roman culture. It was often associated with agricultural deities like Demeter, Ceres, the goddess of agriculture, and Dionysus, Bacchus, the god of wine and festivity. So this represents, it really represents Greek and Roman folklore, Greek and Roman mythology. And what does the Most High God say? What does the scripture say about the Greeks? What does it say they made us do? What did they make us do? What did our wicked matter of fact, what did our wicked forefathers try to do? Let's get that and then we'll grab something else. Right? We can start right here. We'll start at verse 10, just get the context. First Maccabees 1:10, it says, "And there came out them a wicked root named Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen." Who are the heathen? The Greeks that they're talking about this time, "that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we had much sorrow." Right? So there were men that wanted to be like the Greeks, that wanted to follow the ways of the Greeks. But that's wickedness. That's absolutely wicked. Right? Let's jump down to 2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 13. Right? Actually, we don't even got to go there. Start at verse 15. "Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all." So just like our forefathers back then didn't respect the honors of our fathers, we are doing the exact same thing now. We don't care about the honors of our forefathers. We like to follow the glory of the Greeks best of all. Look what it says: "By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them, for they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose customs they followed so earnestly, and to whom they desired to be like in all things." because there's really no reason for us to celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was a holiday when black people were in slavery and when so-called Native Americans and Hispanic people were being murdered in the hundreds of millions. Being murdered in the hundreds of millions. I mean, like, what do you even say? Like, what do you even say to that? When Thanksgiving was being celebrated, I'm talking about at the foundation of the Thanksgiving celebration, blacks were being murdered, black people were being put in slavery and raped, robbed, and murdered, and the same thing was happening to Native Indians. But we wanted to be like them in all things. We wanted to be just like them in all things, and that's why the Most High God let these things happen to us. Right? That's why these things happen. That is a prime reason why these things happen. Right? So let's grab this real quick. In Psalms chapter 35 in verse 11, and it says this: false witnesses did rise up. They laid to my charge things that I knew not. They rewarded me evil for good to the spoiling of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into my bosom. So just as our people went to help them, went to look out for these people, and help them get acclimated to the American to the Americas, right? We looked out for him, and they rewarded us evil for good. I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or brother. I bowed down heavily as one that mourneth for his mother. But in my adversity they rejoiced, and gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. They did tear me and ceased not. With hypocritical mockers and feasts, they gnashed their teeth. They gnashed upon me with their teeth. Because when you look at the food that's associated with Thanksgiving, it really represents the death of Native Indians. With hypocritical mockers and feasts, they gnashed upon me with their teeth. Lord, how long wilt thou look on? Rescue my soul from their destructions, my darling from the lions. Right? Let's keep reading. I will give thee thanks in the great congregation. I will praise thee among much people. Let not them that are mine enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, neither let them wink with the eye that hate me without a cause. For they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land. Right? In Northern Kingdom, they were quiet when they were over here. They wasn't traveling other places, conquering everybody, making a big ruckus and destroying the earth. They weren't doing that. But the devil was. Let's keep reading. Yea, they opened their mouth wide against me and said, Aha, aha, our eye hath not seen it. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't kill. We didn't slaughter you all. We had a big feast, remember? And you were there, your forefathers were there, and we all had a feast, and you guys gave us the land for free. That's what happened, and that's what we're going to write. That's what we're going to teach your children. Right? This thou hast seen, O Lord, keep not silence. O Lord, be not far from me. And this is what I like so much about that, because it says in verse 11, they laid a charge against us. Right? Matter of fact, I think it's, yeah. And they laid to my charge things that I knew not. Meaning, as a judge will lay to your charge something that you did, even though you didn't do it. That's how they were to our people. And doesn't the scripture say that they would do this? That they would lay their charge against us? Let's grab this Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not upright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. Right? Matter of fact, I still got to finish this lecture. Let me just read the rest of this and we're going to get back to that. It just hopped in my spirit to just talk about the things that would happen. Salakia. Representation in art, Salakia. In classical art and sculpture, the cornucopia is frequently depicted as a horn-shaped container overflowing with fruits, grains, and other harvested items. It is often held by figures representing prosperity, fortune, and agriculture. The legacy, the cornucopia represents a symbol of abundance and is commonly associated with harvest festivals, including Thanksgiving and modern times. Its mythical origins reflect themes of divine provision and nature's generosity. All right, so I think that should be the end of the lecture, or the presentation, right? But let's jump down to Wisdom of Solomon 2, right? Look. Where do I even start? Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 9, it says, "Let none of us go without his part for our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place. For this is our portion and our lot is this." Meaning, let us go and destroy every place that we're at. Let us leave all. Let us go and do whatever we want, right? Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. And that's what we read already, right? They wouldn't regard our people. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. So their strength, right? Their strength is in the law, meaning they make rules against people, right? Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn. He is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraids us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education, right? He professeth to have the knowledge of God, and calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts, and that's what Black and Hispanic people were made to do, to reprove everybody. But when you're wicked, you were destroy. You were meant to be wicked. You can't be reproved, right? He is grievous unto us even to behold. For his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion, right? So let's understand this one thing. They are not for just like we're not for their turn. They're not for our turn. But as I was reading in this, it says their power will be in the law. So the charges that are being put up against us and everything that we got to deal with, they use their ways and their laws to oppress us, right? They're the ones that accuse us. Isn't that what the scriptures say in Revelation chapter 12? That they're the ones that there are accusers, right? Revelation 12 and 10, that says this. "And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation, and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night." So, the accuser of the brethren is the so-called white man. He's the one that's been accusing so-called Black and Hispanic people since the foundation of this country. And he has destroyed our people, raped, robbed, and murdered them, and called them the savages and the wicked ones. I saw a post recently about some right-wing conservative talking about how a lot of Hispanics that are coming over the border are savages. He is directly quoting the same ideology of his forefathers, and that's why they got to be destroyed for the things that not only they're doing, but that their forefathers have done. Let's grab this quick precept real quick, right? Matter of fact, I'll start off with Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 21, and it says this: "Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities." So just like their forefathers committed slaughter's got to be put on them. Did I write that? No. Did I say that should happen? No. Right? But am I going to declare it? By Hashem Mashiach Yahushua I will. You see what I'm saying? That's right. So I'm gonna grab another preset real quick, just to show you, man, that their end isn't nothing sweet. It ain't nothing to hate on or to want. You see what I'm saying? This is Jeremiah 49:7. Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts: Is wisdom no more unto man? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring calamity of Esau. I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. Right? We're gonna jump down real quick. This is Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. So just like so-called black and Hispanic and Native Indian people, a lot of their men are locked up, are incarcerated, or murdered, or strung off on dope or anything, and their wives and their widows trust in the Most High, or trust in this American system. Their widows are going to trust in the system of Israel for them to be able to provide the necessities that they need. Just like the roles are going to completely flip, right? The roles are going to be completely flipped, and the whole world's going to know about it. Let me grab this real quick. Jeremiah 49:21. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. At the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. So all the way from Babylon the Great to the Red Sea, this is going to be heard. The noise of their fall is going to be heard. And if you think that means because Edom is in the Red Sea and this is in that is near the Red Sea, what does this say right here? Right? It says the same thing about Babylon. Jeremiah 50:46. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. It's talking about the same exact thing. But with that, I'd like to give honor and glory to the Most High God Yahweh, by Shema Shalom Shai. Lord willing, this is an edifying spirit, and Lord willing, the Most High can bring speedily the destruction of the wicked. You see what I'm saying? And the redemption of the children of Israel by Shema Mashiach, Wamalak, Yahweh Shai, Bawada Abanawa Yahweh, Aman. Kwame Yasharallah, Shalom.